having his time in the sun now. We'll see whether he's going to continue doing so up against Rascal here as we switch sides. Gen.G now on the blue side, banning away Lucian as their first option. Cassiopeia probably be coming in on the side of Kingzone, but Aatrox is going to once again be pretty high priority on the ban list for Kingzone, and has been to a level higher than most other teams in general for Kingzone.
Yep. And now Sion being banned away by Gen.G. Interesting that Gen.G doesn't maybe perhaps want to just get the Lucian for Ruler. But anyway, Kingzone now banning away the Akali.
I like the Sion ban. That's going to come in. This will mean that Gen.G can possibly get that Urgot first pick, unless Kingzone are just going to go down the line and ban that one away. Cassiopeia on the blue side is a very interesting one, because that could have been first pickable also. Not wanting to trade that for the Urgot is the theory on that front. And Lissandra actually going to be taken away. So Fly, his champion pool has been attacked, and I mean, this is the champion that Fly has been actually comfortable on, so get rid of it.
Instantly locking in the Urgot, and a lot of the power picks are all removed. And it's always really interesting when Cassiopeia does get banned by the blue side. We saw yesterday, you're not supposed to let Cassiopeia through. Her damage output is insane. Regardless of what else is happening in the game, she in and of herself is a monster, whether she wins or loses.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
scary stuff. Yeah,
Kingzone locking in that Ezreal for Deft. He is one of the best Ezreal players of all time.
Absolutely.
No stranger to that champion.
But what are they going to augment this pickup with? They could just go Tahm Kench. They want to lock in a bottom lane. And,
super safe bottom lane.
And you can deny the Tahm Kench from life at the same time, but the Ryze was banned in the second round of Game 1, and Pawn has had some pretty brilliant performances on the champion throughout his entire career, which spans a very long time. They are going to lock that one in, a true flex pick between Rascal and Pawn, given the fact that Ezreal will be heading towards the bottom side of the map.
And the Ryze is actually one of the trending answers to Urgot up in top lane right now. Yeah. Very few champions remaining that can actually go up against him. No longer Aatrox ever since the nerfs. Sion is able to contend with him, but Urgot is still favored in the matchup ever so slightly. And now Gen.G hovering the Kai'Sa, and they're picking up Zoe. And Kingzone look like they are quick to want to get that LeBlanc.
Do it, Pawn. It was banned away, in fact, in the first round last time, but looking to continue the bottom lane denial. Kingzone can now lock in Tahm Kench and then ban a couple of supports and have a lot of control down there on the bottom side of the map. We know that Ezreal Tahm Kench is one of the lanes that looks very defensive on paper, but if it's going forward, is very scary as well, because Ezreal can play with reckless abandon and then just get devoured if things get too hot. Well, the Zac is going to be banned away here. Happy birthday, Peanut. Not going to be on your blob of choice.
And we're probably expecting actually a physical damage jungler out of Gen.G. But now Jax being banned away, and that could maybe signal that Peanut wants to play Xin Zhao or even Camille. Both are still available. Kingzone could ban one and take the other. Not necessarily a bad choice.
Depending on what Life wants to do, I actually wouldn't mind an Elise. Like, if Life wants to go back to his Gragas, which is very, very strong, Rakan ban is odd, to say the least.
This is the nerf patch where Rakan is very slow.
Yeah,
and this is not a Xayah. The pick bans have been very interesting the past 2 days for LCK, especially. But very slow to adapt to the meta. There is the Camille ban, and does Kingzone actually go with the Xin Zhao? I do think that that's likely one of the best complementary junglers to their team composition right now.
Certainly a lot of different choices. Cuz has been playing a whole bunch of things, but the Jack's certainly been his favorite at the moment. Ooh. Talon just straight up locked in by Pawn. All right, so remember, Pawn, it's always been a meme for this guy, and Talon hovers have been happening his entire career. He's got a skin on the damn champion, even though he didn't necessarily play it in the World Championship.
I'm very excited for what the Talon could potentially mean for Kingzone, because it might mean that Karthus could be coming.
Oh,
I've been waiting for him for a very long time. Karthus-Talon combo is insane. Talon goes for the roam, Karthus takes over mid lane temporarily, and then he still has his ult to help you. Suddenly, you can have 5-man bottom lane parties very easy. while Karthus picks up the mid lane and then runs to top to get the top wave. Karthus scales so powerful.
And
you seen him in LCK.
Yeah. You say him five-man because he just presses his R button, and that's basically what he does anyway. That's not a Karthus. That's a Sejuani.
I'm tilted.
That's
I'm tilted into the next series.
Is that a whoopsie? That might be a whoopsie. That being said, I mean, it is going to add some frontline to Kingzone's composition. They were lacking that pretty sorely. So you can understand the thought process behind adding the Sejuani to the repertoire, and isn't going to be bothered by the Lee Sin in the early game as well. Lee Sin also wanting to farm things out relatively quickly, and you saw that Cuz actually dealt with Peanut very easily in game number 1. It wasn't necessarily the jungle that was the issue. It was Cannon getting a little bit out of control, which gave Gen G their slight advantage. But I mean, that Talon in the mid lane is very exciting and also can punish Zoe very effectively.
Yes. Talon roams are definitely something that we're going to have to be looking out for here. With Kingzone, yet another skirmishy type composition. They like to fight. They like to get down and dirty. So we'll take another quick look at the team compositions in just a second here and go over what they're trying to accomplish. Gen G with the Urgot, Lee Sin, Zoe, Kai'Sa, and Braum. The main focus of this team composition is the Zoe able to threaten and delete some of the champions and provide enough leeway for Ruler to take over team fights on the Kai'Sa, backed up by the Urgot and the Lee Sin. So mid to late game spikes coming out of the Gen G team composition, but they're going to need to hold on because on the flip side for Kingzone, you have the Ryze, the Sejuani, the Talon, the Ezreal, and the Tahm Kench. Massive amounts of map control offered by the Talon and the Tahm Kench. Ezreal extremely mobile and slippery, and lots of mid-game power punching in the Sejuani, Ryze, and Talon. And that's right around the time that Ezreal completes his major spikes.
Yeah.
So...
And also what you're going to be doing in the mid... Oh yeah, man, there's a lot to talk about here, but let's hear from the fans. All right, as you can see, Pawn is going to be using his skin, and we've spoken to Marta about his Thresh skin. He actually doesn't decide to use it more often than not, and that's because he doesn't necessarily feel like he's ready to perform to his World Championship level. Pawn always feels like he's ready to perform to his World Championship level, no matter what is happening in the game. So kudos to him. We'll see whether Pawn is going to be able to have the talent performance that we've seen in days gone by. Of course, this is a very different Talon to what we saw then. Time Warp Tonic is going to be taken here as Inspiration Tree is what's opted in for. We, of course, knew that by the Minion Dematerializer.
And the Relentless Hunter for Pawn, definitely signaling that he wants to run around the map. He wants to go fast. Taste of Blood and Ravenous for Fly. Just wants to sort of sustain inside of the lane. Now, Pawn does have Cleanse, not Ignite, on the Talon.
Yeah, need that if you're going to get a stray Trouble Bubble to the face.
Yep.
And his passive, if you can get all 3 hits of it, basically feels like you've been ignited. So not too bad there. Is Rake taken first? Seen a few different schools of thought, actually, based on what solo Q talents have been doing. Lava has been maxing Q on the Talon for the extra weight, the extra single target damage, and relies on Tiamat more for the wave clear. So we'll see where Pawn actually decides to take this Talon, skill-wise.
Fly definitely taking quite a lot of damage from these rakes early on. And interesting, Sejuani's path, Cuz here starts off with the red, immediately goes to the Scuttle Crab on the right-hand side, perhaps anticipating that Peanut would try to do a red Golem Scuttle clear and then immediately path into the left-hand side.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. He's going to be now going towards his next buff, and we'll see whether Cuz is going to beeline to that top Scuttle. They don't have vision on where Peanut is. No deep vision actually available unless you count the Tri-Brush on the bottom side. So not too much of a worry there, as we were checking out the mid lane for a very long time. It's because the top lane is going to be basically a wash, and the bottom side of the map also in these early levels probably just going to be a little bit of trading.
The thing that's interesting to note, though, is that Cuz will fall behind from this initial jungle route. When your mid laner is able to get priority and you know that your top laner is going to be shoved in, provided that Pawn just plays correctly, he shouldn't really be gankable, especially when he has that cleanse. And so now Sejuani is going to take a little bit more time pathing to the left-hand side of the map. You can see Lee Sin almost onto his blue buff. He's also going to pick up that Scuttle Crab, and his Golems and Wraith Camps will be the first ones to get the priority for the rubber banding.
Yep. As you can see, mid lane, Redemption was picked up there by Fly, but misses the Trouble Bubble, and Pawn's going to be A-OK. This Paddle Star just going to land onto the back line, and Fly just looking for a preferential back timing here, most likely, wanting to get some of these dank seals in the early game as this wave is stacking up and shoving into the Talon.
It's actually quite a sizable wave, definitely going to get some chip damage onto the turret if he so pleases. And Sejuani now finishing up the Golem camp as Lee Sin now gives away his location by hitting the Scryer plant. And yeah, Pawn is recalling. It is on a cannon wave, and Talon's able to get back to the lane very fast.
Yeah, the Assassin's Path is pretty useful there, just jumping over the Nexus, and everything else has hit level 4, so has, of course, skilled that one up as well. Top side of the map, you mentioned this being considered somewhat of a counter matchup for the Rise, but it's more about how it scales rather than how it does in the first few levels of the game. So that's why you're seeing Roach having a lot of priority up here.
And now when they find that Cuz has already completed the Golem camp, everyone knows where he is. Everyone is aware that, okay, he can only go to Gromp and Wolves. And you look at bottom lane right now, Ruler and Life pushed up a little bit. Deft hasn't used his teleport though. This is the gank timing. It should never work in a million years because you just got all the intel by the ward onto the Golems. Yeah, Cuz just wasting a bunch of time. And this is one of the problems with the Sejuani route. His rubber band camps aren't up yet. His route is telegraphed. Lee Sin already making quick work of the Golems, and then he's going to be able to immediately path into the Wraith camp, whereas Sejuani now, Gromp gonna come up in a second here, but these aren't as valuable of camps as what Lee Sin's getting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not exactly going to hurt Kingzone too much.
I don't know what he's not feeling very good right now. Sort of moving around in a circle. Oh, and Lee Sin can even come in here.
And that would feel really, really bad as Pawn gets the
the
AoE version of the Paddle Star, so not exactly going to be too worried, but gets electrocuted. Yeah, of course, Fly going for a little bit more of an all-in style of Keystone choice. Wanting to make sure that they can blow up the Talon. Drake not actually going to arm here onto the Zoe. As Pawn's not exactly having the best time ever on the Talon, which would make some sense. Range versus melee, but it's all about when he can get the roam happening, when he can get around this map, when he can purchase the Tiamat, which is what he's building for now. And just clear out minion waves and go on roam. Bubble is going to land though as the ultimate comes in. Pawn has to use his cleanse, and that's just in a 1v1. He's able to at least trade some damage back, but it's not what you're looking for, as now Cuz down to grab his rubber banded Wraith Camp, but like you say, Peanut has the smite and is going to be able to get the invasion, and now Arctic Assault not going to be used, but not actually going to be followed up on there by Peanut.
Yeah, and this is an awful feeling right now for Cuz, where his laners aren't able to help him out, and then because of the opening route, he's behind in priority on his own jungle camps, and so now had to give up the Golems, an extremely valuable camp. He will be able to path to the right-hand side and pick up this Scuttle Crab and then transition back for his red, but he might actually think that the red might just go down because he doesn't have any intel on that side of the map. Now they end up seeing Sejuani. Lee Sin cancels his recall, and that's interesting. I think he's just going to go for the red. He shouldn't want to gank the Talon. Yeah. He cancels his recall and says, you know what, okay, Sejuani is on the right-hand side of the map. This gives me the window to get her red. And now when Sejuani paths to the red, it won't be there.
But will Pawn actually find him here? Doesn't actually spot Peanut.
Ooh.
As, does actually have vision. And okay, we'll see Peanut moving towards the top side. Roach has priority, so the Talon not going to follow. I thought there might have been an opportunity there for Pawn to try and jump on top of him.
I don't know what Cuz is doing. They definitely saw the red buff around Peanut. You can click on him, see how much time has expired on it, and he kept pathing to red anyway, so definitely a little bit of time being wasted.
But now it does give at least Kingzone the opportunity to move over and try and deny Peanut his red buff, because right now, I mean, we're looking at the mid-game moving on in. You've got the mobility boots picked up by Pawn. They need to utilize that purchase. They need to justify his extra movement speed and his extra skirmish ability, as now you can see exactly what happens. I mean, you can start shoving this wave in and then leave lane and try and cause a ruckus. But they're not going to. Peanut's going to be able to take down his red buff, and that is just all too easy here for the birthday boy.
And, well, Cuz is...
Okay, Beach Ball going to go wide. Okay, the ultimate going to be available from Cuz, but holds on to it. Doesn't decide to jump down because Fly does have the counterfeit cleanse. You're not going to be followed, and very reserved play from almost everyone here in the mid lane. Yeah,
everyone's taking it very slow on the side of Genji. Oh, another Q ends up missing.
And a Beach Ball.
All right.
Goes wide as well. Okay, Def going aggressive, but doesn't find all of his buttons here. Ruler's going to be able to do exactly the opposite, as the Void Seeker is going to get on top of the Ezreal. Has a couple of biscuits sitting in his back pocket, does Def, so he's absolutely fine. Waited for the opportune back of the Sheen and the Tear. Very standard stuff here on the bottom side of the map, as at the moment, both just pretty content to farm out the wave. Okay, Abyssal Voyage, though, means that, nope, Tusin's going to be leaving. Cuz just going to get hit by the Q, and otherwise nothing's going to happen as Def has to be very careful, as this could certainly happen. The flash forward, first blood, a solo kill for Ruler, as Deft was just too far up.
Yeah, Deft was really overextended there without his support, and Tahm Kench is the one that currently has heal. Deft does have the teleport, so not able to live there. And things are just not going very well for Kingzone. They're down 1.3k gold. We'll take another look at this. Deft doesn't take the Abyssal Voyage with the Tahm Kench. Ruler had the option to try to freeze, although it is an Ezreal, so he sort of can farm with Q. But nonetheless, Deft, a little bit too close for comfort, tries to flash away, doesn't matter. Ruler able to just follow.
Well, that is just some misplay for Deft on the bottom side of the map. Not respecting that Ruler can land these Ws like nobody's business. Void Seeker seems to be relatively targeted for this guy's Kai'Sa. Very even on farm down towards the bottom side of the map, but that will just accelerate Ruler towards his next items. Has his Storm Razor now built up. Just needs to get to the pickaxe and has gone with Doran's Blade, so doesn't need to buy any extra long swords or anything to activate that evolution on the Q. Spawn here, this is exactly what you can do now. He's got the Tiamat built up, so those minion waves, they go down in about one rake and a couple of autos.
And this is sort of the issue with the Kingzone team compositions. They're reliant on these mid-game skirmishes and fights, but because the jungler fell so far behind with the initial roots, they're never able to get any sort of priority, and Fly's able to keep Pawn locked up for the most part in the mid lane, and so mobility boot's not really doing too much at this point in time. Relentless Hunter, no stacks on it. And so really, Kingzone not accomplishing much with the current way that they've drafted for this game, and every single laner just continues to fall ever so slightly behind.
Well, Pawn got hit by about nothing from Fly just there, so he's going to be pretty comfortable here in the mid lane, just clearing out waves over and over again. Probably wants to go for a Hex Drinker, regardless of whether or not the fancy feet have been working for him. It works so nicely against the Zoe. Ultimate going to get immediately stopwatched there. Probably take that trade as Cuz is a fight on the bottom side life. Very, very low, as Deft is going to get devoured as the animation for the True Shot Barrage was coming out, which is very cute.
I've never seen that. That's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Ultimate going to be used down on the bottom side as Ruler just feels it at the moment. Gets hit with the Licker Tongue. So we are going to back away. Now, Genji going to be starting up on this Rift Arrow. Full vision available as, man, the fights just continue down here. Tusin getting aggressive. Pawn's coming on down.
Oh.
He smells a tasty Braum and wants to be able to pick up this kill. Vision available, but Assassin's Path gets him in there immediately. The heal going to be used, but the slowdown on Ruler wants to try and get a kill back, but that's it. Pawn grabs the kill, and Abyssal Realm Warp underneath the inner turret bottom side. The Ignite going to be used, the Grey Health utilized to perfect effect.
Absolutely beautiful usage of the Tahm Kench passive and the Grey Health right there by Tushin. And that was a really good roam that Pawn was able to pull off. Didn't really matter that they had the exhaust ready for him. Now, on the flip side, Genji, they do get the Herald, they get a lot of plates, and they get the first turret, but Kingzone, they got a little bit of an acceleration going for themselves.
Yep.
And Pawn was able to pick up a kill and an assist there, so...
Well, if you think about the plate trade, though, we've got Shelly making another visit to another turret, so Global Gold is certainly an advantage to Gen G. They get all the plates topped. They get one in the mid lane as well, as Fly had some extra time. And they only get 3 plates themselves in trade for it, plus those couple of kills. So Kingzone certainly happy about the skirmish, but otherwise, still a lot of gold going into the hands of Gen G.
Taking another quick look at this. I mean, it was pretty ABC cookie cutter dive. They call in the Rise with the teleport, the Abyssal Voyage to get him right back on top of life. Put an end to that life.
Yep. No worries there, but this is the point where we were talking about Ruler's only going to get scarier and scarier, and he now has that first evolution, most likely, I believe. Level 9 plus the pickaxe. And the Doran's Blade is enough. So that Acathian Rain is going to be a whole lot scarier, and as you can see, yeah, there's a whole bunch more bolts. Iceborne Gauntlet completed, as Deft actually went for the Sork Boots very early, knowing that he does want to go towards the double tier build. It's just an unorthodox way of building towards it, because often you want to have a bit of extra AP before you utilize the magic penetration. What? Okay.
Well.
Just control ward underneath your turret, that's no worries at all.
And, well, not really sure what that's supposed to see or what it's meant to do, but nonetheless.
They have extra vision under their turret.
And I mean, with Clown Drake being the first one of the game, there's not even a lot of action centered around that. Although if a team were going to make use of it, it would definitely be Kingzone a little bit more than Okay.
Whoa, all the buttons are going to get landed, and Fly's the one tanking the turret, cuz just straight up misses the ultimate. And that is going to be that. Gen G just get a free kill. Ruler's moving on over. Life's there as well. And Rascal's fighting against Roach. It's going from bad to worse here for Kingzone in the mid-game.
Very, very peculiar. And now that's going to be the mid-tier 1 turret falling. And look at how healthy the mid and top tier 1 turrets are for Gen G. In this game, they are definitely in a very comfortable position.
Oh yeah, and they're just more than happy to move towards the late game as well. I mean, this composition is pretty straightforward. You have Peanut cause a ruckus in the mid game, and you've got Ruler scaling into late, and have the Urgot be a big beast in the front line. Everything landing at the same time. Ignite goes down to secure it, and Peanut doesn't care about your stealth, mate. Flash going to get him out of there, but I feel like Cuz could have held the ultimate for a little bit longer and guaranteed at least more follow-up.
Well, so far now, almost a 2,000 gold lead here for Gen G, and there's not enough acceleration, I believe, for the Talon and whatnot. So, with the mid-tier 1 turret being as healthy as it is, and the top-tier 1 turret, it's going to be very easy for Gen G to concede their bottom-tier 1 turret, start locking lanes down there, and then how does Kingzone, without any real neutral objective on the map to force Gen G to break a turtle, demand that Gen G not scale? They don't have an option, and their champions just aren't quite strong enough to start just diving turrets arbitrarily. I think that the gold graph at the top does not really tell the true story. Kingzone is very far behind right now.
Yes, absolutely. Fly, beach ball, wide yet again. But I think we are still going to hit a mid-game where the Zoe needs to be landing these skill shots.
Yeah.
Because the front line isn't quite there yet. If Roach is going to be in a side lane, then they're not going to have very much beefiness to frontline any of this stuff, and Cuz can just be a mobile tank. Still, of course, having a rough game, but Sejuani will always be Sejuani.
And indeed.
Yeah, Lee Sin will move into Lee Sin mid-game that we talk about all the time. The one kick will certainly be important as we move to the later stages of the game, but here in the mid-game is just a little bit squishy. But what can Kingzone actually do here? You're looking at Pawn, mostly because a Talon can be a passenger if you don't get kills in the early game, and he's got some kills, but now he's getting out-farmed by 20 CS. And the Moby Boots are just sitting there on cooldown for the majority of the time as he's being well held in this mid lane.
Yes. And now Cloud Drake being picked up by Gen G.
Yeah, looking to try and cycle it most likely.
Yeah. What will be the next dragon capture of the game. or what will be available. Nice Braum block. Oh,
here we go.
That's a spicy one.
Yep, and that's what Gen G want to be doing, because they've got control here in this mid-game. Grab themselves a bit of extra movement speed, and we'll now have a good dragon to be fighting for the next 5 minutes. Rascal, he's having a good time. Seraph's Embrace transformation is going to be in there. Got a couple of stacks on that Dark Seal. And the Rise is going to be scary as this game moves on, and the Urgot is going to have to be very careful.
Yes.
Bottom lane outer turret is going to get sacked here, and you can see Roach just playing very respectfully. He's going to give up this outer turret topside, and that's Gen G trading up in a big way. Yep.
And it looks like they have their eyes set on the bottom tier too. There's no one from Kingzone here to try to stop that. We can see Talon, Tahm Kench, and Ezreal trying to come down, but the damage to the turret is already done. That Talon does absolutely laughable damage.
Yep, it's just going to get taken out.
Yeah.
Ruler does a lot of damage to these turrets at this stage. Supercharger boosting that attack speed. They'll take a blue buff as well, and things are a disaster here on the bottom side of the map for Kingzone. They do manage to take the outer turret top lane, but they don't get to trade the inner for it as well, and that's just having a tempo and priority advantage on the side of Gen G. They just had more players in the right spots and got the work done.
Well, not quite sure what Kingzone are going to hope to do in the next coming minutes. Also, Duskblade of Drakthar completed now for Pawn. Very surprised that that's the first lethality item over Yumu's, because he's not going to be able to use it as his team doesn't really have priority for anything. So the passive there is only likely to get one activation off.
Yep.
And the whole thing with clearing the wards out and whatnot, it's a nice side thing to have happen, but not so sure how this Talon is actually going to team fight in the upcoming Dragon fight in 3 minutes.
Well, he'll have to show us. Pawn has showed us two different sides of himself so far this series. We saw him do fantastic things in the last team fight against Gen G in game number 1, but we also saw him do absolutely nothing in a team fight and die in that game as well. So which shade of Pawn will we actually get? As right now, just clearing out minion waves in a side lane, and as a Talon, you can certainly do that. Moby Boots is going to activate most likely as he jumps over that ruined turret, but Life. Ooh, I don't know whether Peanut can actually find too much here, but the Q is going to land. Gets the flash kick. Happy birthday, Peanut. Looks real good so far as Ruler can dive in on top. Killer Instinct is exactly that as Ruler grabs the kill.
And that was a really big pickup just now as well. Not only did you get Pawn's ultimate, you also got his flash out of him. Now Dragon is up in 2 minutes, so he will at least have his ultimate back for that, but Gen G going to be able to pick up this top tier 2 turret off the back of that.
Yep. Free kill, free turret, and Kingzone are trying to trade it, but Peanut's already over here. Trouble Bubble lands onto the Pig Lady. It's Deft that takes the majority of the Paddle Star though. Cuz still going to be a frontline Realm Warp. That's going to be safety here for Kingzone.
It's a nice Rise ultimate out. They definitely do need to avoid any sort of a fight right now with Dragon just on the horizon. Super, super important for both teams.
That was a really nice catch from Life there with the Unbreakable, making sure Ruler's back isn't stopped. Let's have a look at this one yet again. Vaughn actually moving on down to Peanut, so that's just a point-blank Q. And the vision provided from Sonic Wave, not actually utilized just there. Ruler able to jump on top. All too easy.
And there's the coach box. It looks like they're looking definitely a little bit relieved.
Yep. It's actually it's Cripple from Tempest Cripple that gets the vision, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just remembering how the old Lee Sin vision thing works, because he's been up against the old Akali a little bit too much, and it doesn't actually reveal that particular version of stealth. Too many versions. Stealth, camouflage, invisibility.
Still only a 2k gold lead, though, for Gen G, despite being up 3 turrets and having a lot of stuff go their way.
And if you have a look at the CS, I mean, it's only Rise that has the CS advantage. And I guess Cuz has been farming his jungle a bit more. But it's surprising that the lead is not a lot more than it otherwise could have been. Kleptomancy probably doing some work here for Deft.
Interesting that Rise elected for Void Staff second, even though there's not a lot of magic resist on the side of Gen G right now, outside of that Urgot. And I guess they Merc Treads.
No Merc Treads, so yeah, I'm not exactly entirely sure about whether or not that's the best decision. Gen G moving on over to this Drake, and looks like the Infernal's going to be theirs without any contest. Rush, trying to do his best aiming impression. Is deft, but unable to lock down Dragon.
And another Infernal.
Oh my god.
Well, someone likes Infernal Drakes. The Riot office. Yep,
it got windy, and then it got hot. And it's a nice change for the winter here in Korea. Okay with it. There's Deft and Tucson back here in the mid lane. Bilgewater Cutlass now completed. Deft does have the transformation on his Muramana, and he's going to be building that next tier as quickly as he can. Last time, we have seen some people dabbling in just one mana item Ezreal, but I just think it's completely inferior, especially if you're going to be scaling alongside a Gen G composition that wants to get to the late game and then win fights with the Kai'Sa. What is Kingzone's option, though, for killing this Kai'Sa? Is it going to be Pawn? Does he need to jump on top of her and take her down? Because at the moment, I don't even know whether I'd pick Pawn in the 1v1 against Ruler.
Yeah, I think that their only hope in the later stage team fights is Cuz basically has to land and lock down Ruler, and if Ruler can get deleted early on, the Ezreal in the Rise can definitely go on to hold down the Zoe, and at that point, the rest of the Gen G team composition just sort of falls on its face. But Ezreal is the integral part right now to the Kingzone comp, and fortunately for them, that is deft.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, double pink board.
Beach Ball not going to land. Fly's still trying to get the poke down. Cuz is happy to soak a lot of it now. Level 12. Also has a few items under his belt. Has been farming a lot. As Gen G, all 4 members hanging around over here. No Arctic Assault there from Cuz. Holds onto it. As Gen G just grouped up and ready to fight. Ruler comes on over. And Deft, that Arcane Shift was definitely not the one you wanted. Tucson has to put that Devour on cooldown, which is always a big deal.
And we can see here that one of the other options that Kingzone maybe have for them is they can try to diverge into this 1-3-1 type of team composition and make access of the Rise teleport and Talon ability to shove lanes. 1-3-1s are weaker when you are red side as opposed to blue side, mostly because the proximity to Baron and what it means for the blue team to be able to much more easily control their blue side jungle when trying to approach the Baron camp.
Yep.
But Drake now coming up in 2.5 minutes. Second lethality item now completed for Pawn. The Edge of Night.
Yeah, being picked up. So Pawn going for the AD version of Banshee's Veil is what I like to talk about it. Requires you to be a little bit more proactive in how you utilize it, as Cuz maybe getting caught out of position, but Arctic Assault pretty good at dealing with that one. Rascal offering a lot of damage back here, actually. And Fly was moving on down to make it a 5v5. Good positioning by Ruler, though, making sure he's always on the back line. Not in any danger. These members of Kingzone, Talon and Zoe, what are they going to be able to do moving on down to these fights? Because the money is on Pawn for the movement. Oh, that's a good Arctic Assault, as Cuz does still have to use the flash to get out. And it's looking real dangerous here for Kingzone.
Yeah.
Gen G are positioning themselves so much more aggressively than what we've been seeing in a lot of the Gen G matches. Feel like their VOD review has worked out very, very well for exactly how they're supposed to change up their play in order to win in a meta that's far exceeded the speed limit of what Gen G have been able to offer us in the past.
Right, and at this point, I mean, the fact that Cuz just lost his flash, Kingzone, I can't imagine a timing in which they would have a higher chance at winning a fight than right around now. Zoe's going to complete her 3rd item soon. Urgot's going to complete his 3rd item soon, although it's not that problematic, but getting a magic resist item against the Rise, the Sejuani, and the Ezreal definitely will help, but you can look at Ruler's items. He's still not going to slow down for a while. We did just see Fly pick up the 2nd needlessly large rod, so Death Cap will be the 3rd item of choice. And that Zoe is going to hit like a truck onto the Talon and Ezreal.
Oh yeah. Def doesn't even have his Seraph's Embrace stacking yet, so the next tier item not going to come in. He will be building towards it, as he has gone for the more hybrid build. So the Seraphs will be coming, but just not yet. positioning very aggressively, just making sure they can get themselves this control ward. Peanut searching for a Q, finds it under Tucson, certainly an option as far as targets are concerned.
Pawn down in the bottom lane. I mean, he is split pushing. He did crash the wave. Yes, they can't give up another Infernal. Wow. He committed a real flash for that.
Yeah, he wanted to kill Deft, but Pawn has a decent position right now, trying to get a flank around behind this Infernal Drake.
Pawn?
True Shot Barrage actually gets a lot of value there. Pawn goes down towards the bottom side of the map, but the Dragon has been started. Low health bars. Kingzone actually in a 50-50 position.
Not there.
Okay,
now
can the Talon actually get through? Lee just comes over, takes it down, and Pawn's not even fighting. He's trying to take down wards. Fear Beyond Death comes in, and Gen G win the easiest fight of their lives. Rascal doesn't get over the wall. And what is this Kingzone team fighting?
Now, silence.
Okay.
Just
I was going to say this is actually good, because I was trying to work out how you were going to approach talking about how that went from a Kingzone perspective without using some colorful language.
I just, I had to tell myself we're on cast, I
Rule's
have to really hold
Death.
back there. All right, well, this game is all but over, I think, at this point. 2 Infernal Dragons for the Lee Sin, Zoe, and Kai'Sa. Baron now picked up by Gen G. Pawn, I don't know where he's going.
I don't know what he's been doing. It's just been some
really
the weirdest, interesting play. And there's a lost chapter before a tier is even completed here for Death. So
well,
like that
what you're seeing
not
here is that
in this game.
Pawn was coming over to the Dragon to try to maybe help out with the team fight, but this was just after he turned around to run back into bottom lane. And then Lee Sin was busy pushing mid, but they didn't try to burst the Dragon and take the fight immediately, which was so weird. And then Deft made a donation at the Tri-Brush to Ruler.
Yep, and then Ruler builds an Infinity Edge, and now they have Baron buff.
Yeah.
All of the items, all the kills, all the Drakes, and the Baron. Like, this feels about as over as it can be. But we'll see whether they can actually finish it. Weirder things have happened. Deft bouncing forward, Pawn looking for a flank. LS looking for a way to talk about Kingzone in a positive light. And I think everyone's coming up short.
Oh,
okay,
man.
Here we go. The kickback onto Cuz to deny any engage. Redemption will bring Gen G's health bars all the way back up again, though. And
but Pawn can proxy the wave. They're out of minions.
But they're out of turret.
And they're sending Peanut there.
Oh my god! Deft just explodes! Fly's the one that takes all of the damage, and this is a 1v1 between Peanut and Pawn. And Peanut's winning.
Oh!
Yeah, Roach going to take a lot of damage here, maybe overstepping just slightly. Rascal still needs to be respected. Lee Sin's still hunting.
Holy!
Alright, yeah. Ruler just does so much damage. Deft this time has his health bar built back up again. And Kingzone's still not going to go down without a fight. Health bars are lower. Okay, True Shot Barrage does a lot of damage. The dive forward is sacrificial there from Cuz's Killer Instinct. Is probably going to kill Deft inside the belly of the Tahm Kench. It's a triple, almost a quadra, but Fly's going to steal that one away. And now Gen G should be able to take this game down. Teleport in the hands of Roach. He'll get his health bar back and move back in here to try and win the game.
Yeah, and this is definitely going to just be the Doom push. There's no way Rascal can hold off all of these members of Gen G. These are going to be the 2 Nexus turrets falling, and we are going to a game number 3.
Yep. Kingzone, their first 2-1 victory or defeat is going to be at the hands of Gen G. And that's exactly what Gen G does. They like to spend as much time on the Rift as possible. It's going to happen again. Congratulations. But I feel like when you look at this game, it doesn't feel like a Gen G win. This game feels like a Kingzone loss.
Yes, and these games look very similar to Gen G Jin Air Green Wings in the sense that nothing is happening whatsoever. Pawn's asking his teammates if he was just actually in a game, so I'm not sure what was going on there. That Talon pick did nothing. They didn't utilize him. It had almost anti-synergy with the Sejuani jungle pick. And when Cuz fell behind early to the Lee Sin, due to the pathing issues with how the game started, Lanes never could get priority. Things were just going catastrophically wrong for Kingzone in that game. And even when the team comp was spiking and hitting the items that were designed to fight, they didn't want to. Instead, Pawn was just arbitrarily split pushing, and that dragon fight, I literally, it was speechless because Lee Sin was in mid lane. They could have just burst the dragon, smote it, and then tried to do some sort of an engage, but they opted out of it.
Also, Talon could have jumped over any wall, but instead goes and activates his Duskblade of Drakthar on a control ward and kills that instead of joining his team that were already team fighting.
Yeah.
Like, there's just completely mind-boggling situations happening. They could have also picked away the Lee Sin and then last picked the Talon. There are so many different things that they could have done in this game. We're going to have a look at the damage graph. And look, I mean, Def can at least hang his hat on the fact that he was Ezreal, so did the most damage in the game. But that didn't matter at all, honestly. The Kai'Sa was way more accelerated than she could have been. The damage that she did was often in lane and actually killing Def.
Yeah.
Honestly, this
Zoe
was...
did what she had to do.
Yeah, this felt like a Kingzone mental boom in this game. And whether or not they're going to be able to come back in the last one is going to be the true test here as they move over to the side that they were able to win on in game number 1. And we have to remember, the Kingzone's game number 1 was a rough one as well. Yeah,
Kingzone game number 1, I was thinking in my head the whole time, okay, they definitely lose this. But then Cube's R key and Flash key just
sticky.
Yeah, it was something was going wrong there, so definitely some Karthus practice, I guess, if you want to get good at that. But, I mean, Kingzone should have lost game number 1, and Genji lost it instead. It wasn't Kingzone winning it, and then game number 2 looked very familiar to game number 1, so I'm not sure about game number 3.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to find out, guys. It is a best-of-3 series. Things are all tied up between Kingzone and Genji. We're going to have a short break, and then we're going to come back and see who is going to be able to get things together and find a clean victory, because that's what we want. Haven't found it yet. Let's see if we can find it after the break.